So Tina, how do you broach a conversation with a landowner, either directly or maybe when you're working with a particular developer that you've worked with before? How do you broach the conversation when you know that what the landowner would like to happen or their expectation or what they've been led to believe is not realistic? And obviously that's, a sensitive term because you don't want someone to say that their expectation is unrealistic, but you obviously know from your experience what you think can be achieved, and that's obviously where people want to arrive at. So anything away from that, unfortunately, would be labelled as unrealistic. So how do you approach that conversation?
Crucially, honestly.
Okay.
There's no point in beating around the bush with it. If we don't think it's possible, it's better, or if you have got an unrealistic position, it's better for us to outline very honestly, this is why we think it's not possible. Look at all the other considerations in play, whether your site is near a flood risk area or whether you've got constraints that you've got no access to your site.
Yeah.
Put it in a really simplistic way, because if you haven't got certain things covered in and then you've got an aspiration to achieve X, then suddenly we're not going to be able to deliver that, and it's far better that at the very beginning than kind of being strung along saying, yeah, we can do this, and then suddenly when people start refusing it at planning stages and the next stages after, that you think, well, why did nobody tell me it was going to cost too much to build because of this, and we're going to need to put the building on stilts and all the rest of it? Why didn't somebody let me know that at the beginning, and I wouldn't have explored this? So it's far better to be honest at the beginning and somebody say, but that means I'm going to have to do this. Well, yeah, it might mean that you're going to have to do that, but I'd rather you know about it now.
Right.
And you can factor that into what you're expecting from the land. And then you can work backwards from that position. So honesty is always the best policy. If people are being a bit cagey, approach it with a bit of caution, because they should be able to say if there are any risks. And you should be prepared to ask, what are the risks involved here? And if they say, no, it should be fine, it's easy. It's never that easy.
No,
no. It's
being aware of the risks is almost this kind of a sobering, I suppose, reference to the actual site. It's a sobering point where you can actually be realistic and address the risks rather than assuming they're not there or pretend they're not there, or not have done your homework to actually identify what the risks are.
And that's it. And you can work towards overcoming them at the outset and factoring them into your cost plans and all the other bits that you need to do before it kind of comes off the ground, so that you know what you're kind of working towards and getting yourself in for. Because if it doesn't become viable because you've got to do all the contingency measures for the flood risk area, then you don't go near it. You stop it before you get that far. So it can be disappointing, and sometimes there have been occasions where we'll turn around and say, well, actually, you're just not listening to what we're saying, and we think there's too much of a risk going forward with this. And we'll be sensible and we'll say, good luck with it. We're going to walk away at this stage because we don't think that this relationship is going to work, and it goes back to some of the other points that we've spoken about. And I'd rather be honest. I'm not in the business to take your money and just see what I can do with it. It's hard-earned money for whoever it is, and let's work at it properly, and you've got to do it realistically, but at the same time, without the honesty, it's just a gamble, isn't it?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.